Hey everyone, Lisa Princic here with the Scaling Deep podcast. Summer is here. We have the end of school this week, and I'm been actually spending my time mountain biking and gardening. I think it's official. I am definitely in that old zone because like I never thought I'd be gardening, but we actually just did a huge backyard reno, created this beautiful space, and we have a lovely forest behind us with like all kinds of bears and bobcats and birds and all this. So I thought it was worth creating a little oasis in our backyard so we could admire all the wildlife and get out in the sun. And now I'm gardening, folks. So actually, that was just my delay for getting into this somewhat tricky topic that my assistant suggested I speak about today, which was the future of membership site content. Now, it's not completely out of the blue because I am doing a effortless I am doing a workshop in a couple weeks called the Effortless Content Creation Machine for Memberships. And it is all about helping people who are stalling on creating their membership because they are already overwhelmed with content creation, things like email marketing, social posts, client work, and just all the other content tasks that we have to do to keep our businesses going, and are stalling on a membership because they can't imagine creating one more set of tasks every month in terms of creating interesting interactive content for their members. So that is going to be in a couple weeks, and you can show up live and ask questions or watch on demand at scalingdeep.com/content. But I'm going to give you a little snapshot today of the future of membership site content, because I think this dovetails nicely into mapping out our content, getting clear on what it should look like, and where it really becomes useful for people. Because content is really just everywhere, and it's getting easier and easier to get it in even more places. I mean, we won't even be Googling soon. We'll just be asking AI things. Can you find this for me on Google? Can you curate this stuff for me? So content is everywhere. And so content is not necessarily the main reason why people join a membership program. And therefore, we don't necessarily have to keep filling it and cramming it full of content. So the future really comes down to being more of a curator of content and being more of a deliverer of a roadmap for people to get a result. And I think that the memberships are going to be more specialized, more specific, and definitely be more of a guide for people so that they know where to turn and know where to look for things and can learn what to ignore, because I think it's becoming harder for us to know what to ignore out there, and more than ever, because it's just so distracting. And so, this future of membership sites will probably have AI in there helping us figure out what we need to find and what we need to work on and what we need to use based on our needs. But we're mostly not there yet. So it comes down to really creating a better user experience than they would get just by searching something up. So that's why it's your guidance that is going to make the biggest difference in your membership site than ever. Helping people decide what they need to focus on, helping them walk through the content, helping them get unstuck when they are trying to implement it, helping them stay motivated and inspired to keep going on that complicated journey that they're on, because most things are complicated. If it's super easy and a quick search gives them all the answers they need, they don't need to join a membership, right? So you're really adding that interactive value there. And I think that's where memberships in general are going to start to even more outnumber courses, because courses are, should I say, going to become obsolete? Not necessarily, but harder and harder to sell because they're missing the piece that helps them get through the material. And that's where I think memberships do still make a difference. And I think that's where we're getting really clear on the transformation that we're delivering inside of it. And the one thing we're going to promise that everyone can get, or eventually get, or at least that we are committed to helping them get by being in there and then making sure that everything we do gets them to that point. So that is a lot of interactiveness. That is a lot of Q&A. There's a lot of things that help people learn about where they're at. I mean, I have people who can't make the calls and listen to the private podcast that I have inside the Scaling Deep Society, which records all of the Q&A meetings and all of the working sessions that we have on specialty topics and all of the guest experts. And then I do a little behind the scenes. Here's what I'm working on. I just launched this thing. I just ran this thing. Here's the results I got. And all that debriefing is how people learn, right? Because they'll get something via example. They'll understand it deeper. And we are not learning brand new things all the time. Like, honestly, I work on my business every single week, and I work on business strategy every single week. And I'm in a program with a strategist leading it and a ton of other strategists. And I'm constantly learning what's working, what is making a difference in increasing sales or traction or getting noticed and all that stuff. And it's not massively changing. The only thing that is changing is that it's getting harder to cut through the noise. And we have to make sure that we are really not only just adding value long term, but getting noticed in the first place. So again, those tactics aren't changing. It's not like there's some brand new thing. I mean, there's different variations on things, but what it really comes down to is being very specific on what we can help people with, so that the people who are really in pain on that level, are really agitated and looking for some help, can find us fast and get it quickly. So that's the real goal around sales. And then inside the site itself, inside our programs, we are doing everything we can do to get people to keep learning those things, keep teaching those things, and keep getting people to continue on the journey. Now, here's one example. I was listening to this fantastic podcast the other day, and it was Dr. Mike interviewing some other doctor, but who was more of a researcher. And they talked about so many things. What was so fun about it was that they discussed all the different diets out there. And the researcher doctor said, it doesn't really matter which diet people choose. It's like, he's like, it's a calorie in, calorie out kind of thing, right? It's whichever one they can stick to, whichever one is able to provide the parameters to someone to say, I am good at eating only this and cutting out all this stuff. Or, whether you're a vegan, he was comparing like a vegan diet to a carnivore diet. He's like, if it will help you manage your fitness and your weight and all these things and your health in general, then it doesn't matter. Not one is magically better than the other, as long as it keeps whatever you're doing in a container of calorie consumption. And so that's kind of what our goal is in our programs. We're just trying to get them to stay on the diet or the way of eating that suits them. And that's why jumping from program to program or technique to technique isn't going to get anyone very far. It's better to build on what is coming naturally and keep working with that. And so that's where we're figuring out inside these programs as guides, what is it taking? Like, what is going to keep them motivated, interested in, and staying the course that you've set out early on when they join, or even before they join with other programs, courses, materials. And because they're getting to that successful place is all that matters. And so interactivity helps, right? It really helps to sit in a group and listen to somebody else talk about the same problem in a different industry and with a different set of tools on a different medium. That really will help us to gain more clarity on what that is. So until then, how do you get your members to get on the right path? How do you get them to use the things? I have another client recently who has a really large community, a really big following outside the membership community, and has some core content that when I went in there and I looked at it, I was like, wow, this is really cool stuff. Like, this is unique, it's different, it's compelling, and it really will help people get started on working on their plan. And he looked at the viewership on that, and it was like nil. It was so small and that he realized that nobody is actually even using it and knowing it's there because they're not long videos. It's not long and arduous content. And it's actually the main outcome he's selling inside the membership. So getting them to notice it, getting them to take the first step to consuming that, to buying into the process is really important at the beginning. And then after that, you just need to get them to continue to show up and can take steps. So that is small experiences. That's having a variety of things for people to tap into. For example, you can show up on a live coaching call or listen to the recording on a private podcast or watch it if you like that, watching the video aspect of it. You can watch different modules. You can go through different checklists. Like I'm always bringing everything together that I have already and reminding people about it, or I'll taking old content and reusing it for a live session because there's only so much brand new stuff we can come up with. So it's more at some point about sharing the foundations, updating the foundations, and then keeping people tethered to the journey instead of jumping ship on an entire process or strategy. Our success as membership site owners and business owners in general online is sticking with our plan a lot of the time and continuing to sell the same program over and over again, especially if we've sold it in the past. It's optimizing. We're not meant to throw everything out and start again, even if something doesn't sell very well, because it just means we're probably going to not sell the next thing very well, because sales comes down to these small little details that get people moving a little closer to making that decision and feeling comfortable. I mean, I just had a call today with somebody who's been on my list for a very long time, who's ready to finally get help putting together his membership and entire online business. And it took a while of working out a lot of the background stuff on his own, and which is great. And you want people to do that so that they can come more prepared and more able to get a lot out of the work together. What that means is that people are there, they're watching, they're paying attention, and they simply just need an excuse to jump in. That's why we stay the course, stick to the plan. And when it comes to the content and inside and outside, we definitely can leverage it and make sure that whatever is inside is matching the kinds of things we were talking about on the outside and vice versa. So it is doable. It's possible. Membership site content is still really relevant. But again, focus less on stuffing it full of content and more about finding unique ways to get them to use it. So that is your goal. I'm not going to share much more about this today because I really want to encourage you to come out to the workshop. It's only $27 for the next couple of weeks at scalingdeep.com/content. It's a really good chance to get your head around how to even content plan, how to figure out what's in and what should be out, especially looking at compared to the price point that you want to offer it at, and then helping you optimize that so that you can create a business model that's actually really profitable and sustainable, because you're not spending all your day and all your night creating content that no one's really going to use. Okay. So thanks for being with me here today. Let me know if this was helpful for you. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss another weekly video, or subscribe on wherever you listen to podcasts on your favorite podcast app. Bye for now.